Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Today I'm talking about the concept of you're allowed to outgrow people even if you still love them. And I think it's very important and I just wanted to talk about it in today's video because I feel like it's a common issue between family members, relationships, and growth isn't linear, right? So certain people experience growth differently, right? And maybe they're good at other things, but they're not good financially, they're not good educationally. Someone may have a high school graduate, is a high school graduate and is doing well in terms of financial struggles, but their mental health is not as good as someone that doesn't have a high school diploma. You can't judge someone on one aspect of a person and be like, this is a good person or this is a bad person. But what I really wanted to talk about is the idea of that love interfering with that concept. Like, you love your family members, you love your friends, you love your significant other, whatever. But sometimes you'll get to meet the person, you get to know them better, and you'll see that they're not growing. They're not growing the same pace that you're growing, and that's tiring. Let's be real, that's tiring. Doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean it's not anything to judge the person that is technically of lower status than you. It's just that they're growing differently and they're taking more time than you, because different childhood, different whatever, different circumstances, they're going through something. There could be thousands of reasons. But what I want to stress is that you don't have to feel bad for leaving that person behind, leaving that person. You don't have to feel like you're responsible, like you're a parent or something, like you don't. Sometimes the best thing you can do is force them to grow on their own. You can't be always the one dragging them there, because you'll be the one carrying them all across the mountain. You know what I mean? You'll be the one carrying the mountain. And that effort of carrying the mountain is already so hard. You're getting tired, your muscles are getting tired, your legs are getting tired from climbing that mountain. But now you're carrying another person with you. You're dragging that person. You have to take breaks more often because you're tired of dragging that person and ruining that progress for yourself, that path to finding yourself. But forcing yourself to drag this person isn't self-love or taking care of that person. It's self-abandonment. It's you're disrespecting yourself, you're disrespecting them by forcing them to help themselves when they don't want to. You know what I mean? It's not. I know you care for them, and I know you seem like you're doing the right thing, but sometimes if they don't want the help, then you can't force them, right? And they need to do that on their own. So it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't it doesn't determine how good of a family member, good of a partner you are. But you have to kind of decide for yourself, how do you want to take this from now on? How do you want to do you want to keep like pretending that it's okay and pretending that you're fine? You're being the 70-30 all the time. You're being that bigger portion of the relationship or the friendship or the family member. And it's not fair. Let's be real, it's not fair. So you have to decide that for yourself, that is this really worth it? Are you losing opportunities, losing motivation because you're taking care of another person? You're raising someone else. And I think the most important thing is that you need to realize that love can be abandoning someone too. Love can be, for example, like a relationship where, you're staying together in the relationship just because you want that person to be, because they're happy with you, but you're not happy with them. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is be honest with that other person. Be like, hey, I actually don't love you anymore, kind of thing. It's the right thing to do. It's your dignity on the line. You can't just pretend that everything is fine and that you're just being better for that person because you don't want to make them feel bad or whatever. No, it's not being selfish either. It's about being real and making sure that you're there for yourself too, because it's your life. It is your life. This is the one life you have, and so you got to live for your life too. And I feel like the biggest thing is that staying just because of love can turn that love into resentment, into anger, into frustration, into, you're like, I'm doing all this for you, but you're not doing anything for me, And then not only does it make you feel bad because you've been putting in the work for that person and you're not getting returns on it, the other person feels bad because, you know, maybe they didn't ask for the help, maybe they don't want the help, and you're helping them, and then they're like, well, I don't know, I just don't feel like doing it back, or I don't feel like making progression, or, you know. So I feel like in that instance, you have to let go. You have to be able to be real with yourself and know what's happening, and allow that space for that person, because they're clearly not doing them for themselves, and you need to work on yourself now, because not only do you need to work for yourself, that person needs to work on themselves, and you'll see how much better it'll be. You're allowed to grow, you're allowed to leave, because it means that you're moving forward in life, you're growing, and it's human. And you have to remember that, like, you change, right? You're not the same person you were 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, even a month ago, you know? Sometimes events can make you change so drastically that it's not about the love wasn't real or the love is not there. It's about choosing being there for that next version of yourself. And that's okay. That's human. That's reality. And you're just being real with yourself. So yeah, that's basically today's video, and I kind of just wanted to talk about this concept. I thought it was pretty interesting, and I would love to hear your ideas on different mental health concepts in the comments down below. But I appreciate you listening, I appreciate you watching, and much love as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.